People often ask me why I talk about some of the dark, disturbing, awful things that I do, and I guess I need to tell you the story of Joan to explain it. I'd spoken at a conference, several hundred people. I was surrounded by a small group of people who were adoring me, which felt really good. But I looked up over the shoulder of one of the women and noticed that there was a red-headed woman who was red-faced and sobbing. And I could not in good conscience, as much as I liked the adulation, I could not in good conscience not approach her. So I wrapped things up and I went over. She told me her name was Joan. And then she hit me with the line that transformed the moment. She said, "You saved my life." It really did stop me in my tracks for a moment. I was baffled. I said, well, what did I say? And she said, well, it wasn't tonight. It was 5 years ago when you spoke at, I think that was a place in Denver. She said, you talked that night about when you used to drink, which is part of my history, that you would cut yourself with razor blades because you hated yourself so much. I remember it got really quiet that night, she said, and what happened for me was that I realized for the first time that I was not alone. And that was my first day of sobriety. So, I'd love to claim some great virtue out of this, except that it's an awful story. But it's a transformative story. And the reason to talk about these things, the mental illness and suicidal ideation and domestic violence and all these things that we want to sweep under the rug, is because as long as they're in the shadows, producing shame, they're not solvable. In fact, they multiply and become worse and worse. So the greatest reason to speak of these things is because stories like Joan's, because they make it okay. More importantly, for me, it lets me be real, to be vulnerable, to let you see that I'm a guy who has struggled, and that somehow or another, you bring it full circle, the power of talking about these things changes our lives and allows us to tackle them.